Yeah. We had some, interesting patches. I mean, I was the crazy one. Like, I couldn't make up my mind. I had just like maybe a year before or something like that. I had broken up. I was in a horrible relationship, so I was always treading lightly and cautiously. But I knew when I first saw him that, wow, he just looks like such a good guy. And even then, being so young, I was already thinking, the next guy I'm going to be with, he's going to be my husband. And it's not like I was ready to get married then, but I just didn't want to waste time dating. I mean, now standards have changed and they say, oh, you should be dating well into your 30s and don't worry about kids until later. But I knew I wanted to be married and I knew I wanted to be a mom. And I knew I wanted to have a career. So that was important to me. I didn't want to be just dating and just, dating this guy and then dating that guy. That was just not for me. Not that there's anything wrong with it, because again, now you say that and you sound like you're so old-fashioned, because the standard is to date as many people as you can before you settle down with one. And I said, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just, the next guy I'm with, I want it to be real. I want it to be forever. If not, I'd rather just not even bother. So, so that's kind of what took me so long, because I was just like, let me see.
Yeah, there was a time when I felt like you didn't feel the same, and we actually separated for a little while, and
we were like never like, it wasn't like a fit, because we were so young. It wasn't like official, like we were dating. We would go to the movies. I remember I called and I canceled. I felt so bad, but I was just like, I don't know. Right. And I was into traveling. Like I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be married and have a family one day, I gotta do all my traveling now. So like, I took a break from work and, school. I did studying abroad. Like I spent 2 summers in Spain, and, he was so sweet and understanding. But I also, even though I knew I wanted all these things, I also knew I wanted to have more of a global perspective on life and be able to travel and do all these things, because I knew back then that there would come a time where I wouldn't be able to do all that stuff. I mean, granted, we could do that as a family now, but I mean, just do that as like, a young single person.
My advice to anybody out there who's in a relationship and they feel that person is the kind of person that they can see themselves being with long term, make sure that you do everything to not mess that up, because if I would have messed it up, I would have been devastated, because you don't know if you're going to find that person again. I always knew that she was perfect. And perfect for me. So I knew that even though we were young, it just you all have that feeling in your gut that that this is the one. That's true. And that's how, I think that's how and that's how you don't have doubts going into getting married. But that's it.
I think things play out the way they're supposed to, and I am so guilty of almost screwing this whole thing up royally, because my mind, I had gone through so much years prior. I always say, I'm going to write a memoir and I'm going to spill my guts and I'm going to tell my story. Because, going through such a rough patch, as I met him, it was like a breath of fresh air, like finally something real and something stable after being through war, like on the battlefield and whatnot. I don't want to get into all that and be like Debbie Downer, but I think the point of the matter is, and the same thing for ladies out there. Like, I see these girls, these young girls, and they meet these great guys, and these guys are great, and they just like treat them like garbage, like whatever, he'll be there. No, he may not, because I remember that girl. New girl came to our call center and she was just like, who's that? And she was all interested. Can you set me up with him? And I was just like, because we weren't officially dating, I was just kind of going through my loop-de-loop phase. And I said, okay. And I remember telling you about her. I said, she's pretty, right? She was, and she was a sweet girl. And you're like, okay, I'll talk to her, whatever. And I was like, why did I just set up the guy that I like with another girl? That's so dumb. Like, what was I thinking? And then after I kind of set that up, were you even interested in her?
No, I didn't really. She wasn't really that interested in me. Yeah. I wanted you, but at that point you were acting funny.
Yeah,
and it didn't look like it was gonna happen. So I, at that point, what I was gonna do, I wasn't gonna, overdo it, and you knew where I stood and how I felt about you, but. I always look at everything like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And at that point, it didn't seem like it's gonna happen, so I'm not gonna sit there and
I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then finally, I remember calling you and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to make this work.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
it's a great day.
Yeah, and he was just so patient. I think when you find the one. Don't let that one go, because you may live a life of regret thinking, what if I had, not said no, or, there was one point you even broke up with me.
Yeah, there was, and that's
I was going through I want to travel.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. It was that I didn't feel like you were as into the relationship as I was, and I just, I felt like, at this point it was. It was like not necessarily one-sided, but I just knew my feelings were a lot stronger. So I said, let me let's break up and see what happens.
But then
and I definitely missed her. But honestly, it was the best thing I ever did because I think that time apart made her feel stronger for me.
But then
after that,
that's
things were better than ever.
Yeah.
After that time, that was from that point on, it was the best it ever was, and so I that ultimately I think was the best move at that time because
we broke up for 3 weeks, maybe almost a month.
I think it was about a month, I guess.
Yeah, and you were like, why didn't you call me? I was like, what do you mean? You broke up with me? What are you talking about? But you didn't call me. You didn't call me to see how I was doing. It's like, why? Yeah. You broke up with me. What am I supposed to call you for? But that was, that was the first time in a long time. Like I felt like I just kind of needed to be in my own space for a while. Like I needed that time. And to this day, he's just so patient and so sweet. And I see that even with our kids, how sweet and just, patient he is. And I think that's what I love most about him. And that's what ended up, like getting us back together, was the fact that he was so patient. And then I think with maturity, it's funny because I used to say, oh, you're not mature enough for me. But I was the one who was immature. I was like, what am I doing? And then, I'm glad it kind of worked the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
All right. Good beans. Good job. Anything else?
That's all I got.
So if you guys have any ideas on what our next topic should be, hit us up, leave a comment in the description box, ask us anything you want. But I think you gave some good advice. If you meet that person, hold on to that person. Don't let that person go. As long as it's a healthy relationship, because that was most important. Yeah. We had a very healthy, respectful relationship. It was no drama. And it was like the first time I was like, there's no drama. So, and we are happy and in love to this day.
Yeah. Time flies when it's a great relationship. The years fly by.
I know.
I can imagine if you're in a miserable one. That's
I was in a miserable one.
Probably the years move pretty slow, but it's been a long time, and it's still great, and time is just.
We were both in miserable relationships because I remember you were in one, and like we were just getting over it wasn't like rebound type of thing. I think a year or so had passed or something like that, but. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching.
And I have an important thing to say. I think I said this on the last one, but very important. If you don't want to see me in these videos anymore, please leave it in the comment section, and I would gladly oblige. Cause
tell him how much you love him and you want to see more videos, and leave your suggestions in the description box below, please.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.